Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS! Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of ETX ROCKS with Boston Chris. This week we have a very special guest that I'm going to read about a little bit right here. Musician, writer, outlaw, underdog, burn survivor. She has exploded onto the Texas Regional Radio Report charts with her first single, I Won't Be Bothered. Her first album, Cigarettes and Whiskey, has just been released. She is an extremely talented singer-songwriter from Katy, Texas. With a huge voice and tons of spunk, she has created a sound that is all her own. But a tragic accident almost derailed her dream. Keep listening for a heartwarming, inspirational story of how one young woman overcame the odds. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Miss Francie Krienitz. Francie, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
So, I know this is the first time we've ever tried to record one of these on the phone, so hopefully it'll come out pretty good, and we want to thank you for taking your time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So how long have you been a professional musician?
Officially about 3 years.
Wow. And
I'm still kind of a baby.
I know I'm not supposed to ask a lady this question, but how old are you?
I just turned 27.
So 24 you started.
Yeah.
And what led you to pursue a career in the music industry?
Really what kick-started it for me was my grandpa passing away. I used to sing with him when I was little, and he used to play guitar, and so whenever he passed away, I picked up the guitar and decided I wanted to learn it, and that kind of got me started in it all.
So it was almost kind of like in remembrance of your grandfather.
Yeah.
So was he musically inclined as well, or?
He dabbled a little bit. He wasn't like he sang in choir at church and but played guitar at home and stuff. Nothing big or anything.
So were there any other influences close to you in your family, or?
Not really. I'm not from a very musical family. I mean, my family would try and sing like Disney songs and stuff when we were younger, but no one was any good, and we all knew it.
So that dream had to kind of be there already. I mean, before your grandfather passing away.
Yeah. When I was little, probably 3 or 4, I actually have a chip on one of my teeth because right after I got in my 2 front teeth, so I guess like 4 or 5, I used to go stand on top of my treehouse and pretend I was a country singer. And I'd put on the radio, and I'd stand up there and dance. My mom would always yell at me to get down, and one day I finally tripped and busted one of my teeth, but
So,
it still didn't stop me.
So it was definitely there from an early age, and then I guess losing your grandfather kind of was it kind of one of those things where you were thinking, life is short. I think I'm gonna really give this my all now.
Yeah, I kind of it started as more of like I wanted it to be a hobby. I was like, I'll learn a few songs, sing a little bit. I did karaoke in college and won a couple little small local competition kind of things, and then really when I got burned was really when I decided life's short. Like this could all end tomorrow, and why not just go for it?
Yeah, and probably with the karaoke thing going on, you probably had a lot of people in your ear too.
Yeah, that really helped to kind of build me. It helped me to learn things,
Right.
Kind of weed out things, sort out some of the technical things that I was doing wrong and right, and that kind of stuff.
Well, one thing I was reading about you that really piqued my interest was, you like to be involved in every aspect, from making the music, from writing your own songs. You also do your own photography and graphic design. I thought that was really unique, and shows a lot of talent to be able to do all of those different things, almost like your own machine. So how do you balance everything? How do you make all that happen?
I don't sleep a lot.
You and me both.
Yeah, because I do everything, and then I also work a part-time job to pay the bills on the side and be able to put everything back into my music that I can. So I spin a lot of plates. I used to do booking for other artists as well.
Right.
But I kind of let that off now that I'm into the radio stuff. I'm hoping to get back into that. I just love the business, and I've always been very creative-minded, so the artsy parts, and then I'm very good at business aspects too. So it all comes naturally for me. So I'd rather do it myself and do it the way that I like it than hire somebody else.
Right. Do you find where you have your hand in everything? Do you find it's almost easier for you to know exactly what's going on at all times?
Yeah, that's part of what picking a radio promoter to help push my single was a huge part of it, was somebody to be willing to work side by side with me rather than me just handing the reins over completely, because I'm a little bit of a control freak.
Right.
But I like things done a certain way, and I don't just dip my toe in the water of something. I go all in. So
Right.
it's like when I was couch bound and bed bound from being burned, I grabbed every book I could, and since I couldn't be out playing, I was studying the music business.
Right. So you really do your research. You put your time in, and a lot like myself, if I don't know a lot about something, I try to educate myself as much as possible before I jump all in, as you put it.
Absolutely.
So you say you don't really have time to sleep. So if you ever have any spare time, what kinds of things do you like to do? Is there hobbies or?
I like to go float the river. My husband's aunt raises pigs and cows, and so I like to go help out on the ranch. I love hunting, fishing, all the pretty cliche stuff. But I'm very much a tomboy. Like whenever I'm at home and I have free time, we go out to the bars. We're playing disc golf or going out to a baseball game. I can't sit still.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You can't do that in this business anyway, so for sure. Well, we're going to take a real brief commercial break. I want to let people know that this episode of ETX Rocks is brought to you by XLN on 5th in Tyler, Texas. XLN on 5th is open on noon every single day. They don't charge a cover charge, and they have live music every weekend. There's a patio for you smokers out there and custom 8-foot long pool tables. XLN on 5th is located at 2109 East 5th Street in Tyler, Texas, and you can find them on Facebook at XLN Pool Hall and Club. Thank you for supporting local music, XLN on 5th. And we're back here with Francie Krienitz once again. You still there, Francie?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to go a little deeper. You mentioned you had an issue with a burn accident. So I guess that happened sometime in 2014. It changed your life and could have ended your music career. So would you mind telling us exactly what happened?
Sure. Well, for my birthday, I wanted to have a crawfish boil, and we did, pulled it off, had a bunch of friends there, but a few of them couldn't show up. And so, because a lot of my friends work in the industry, so they work on weekends. So we had this big crawfish boil one weekend for my birthday, and then we had a kind of part two during the week on a Wednesday. And we were sitting there boiling the rest of the crawfish and some veggies and stuff, and sitting out on the driveway, drinking a couple beers. We just started getting things going. Everybody just got there, and I went up to check on one of the batches of veggies, and when I was maybe a foot away from the pot, it just came down, and it landed mid-thighs, knocked me backwards. I call it I landed in my best breakdance move, because I had both my feet on the ground and my left hand on the ground, if you can kind of envision that. And the water spilt down the front of my legs and splashed over my feet and my left hand, and it burned me up to my forearm, so it kind of like splashed up my arm, I guess. Yeah, so that happened, and luckily one of my friends that was there is a nurse, and she started yelling orders at everybody to
So this happened in 2014, so it would have been shortly after you started in the business, right?
Yeah, I have maybe, I'd probably guess 10 shows under my belt, if that.
Wow. So during this time, what were your sources of strength while you were trying to recover?
It was really hard. I mean, I went into a really bad depression. I had PTSD. I wasn't sleeping at all, and I couldn't get off the couch for after I got released from the hospital. I still couldn't walk very well. They told me I wouldn't be able to play guitar ever again when I got to the hospital. And as a true Southern woman, I guess I told them I'll show you. And so I was pretty much couch bound. So I said I'm gonna learn everything I can about the business. I'm gonna be in it some way or another. And I was sitting there laying on the couch trying to play different chords, and I did that as my my physical therapy for my hands. And my physical therapist approved it, so that's pretty much what I did.
So that's crazy. I mean, you're literally straight out of the hospital, and you're already you've already got your mind wrapped around, how else can I be in this business?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So I mean, do you still struggle today with complications from that?
Yeah, I have quite a bit of nerve damage, especially in my left hand. I've had to relearn how to do many of the chords. I still can't do bar chords or anything at all because I can't make my fingers move that way yet. But I have some nerve damage in my hand, and I have some nerve damage in my legs. The scarring, the doctors there were phenomenal, and I have very little scarring, thank goodness. You can only tell if I start to get sunburned. But other than the nerve damage, the main thing is I struggle with the PTSD and stuff like that. I get maybe 4 hours of sleep a night, so it comes in handy because I can spend that extra time editing photos and booking myself. But yeah, I still have nightmares because it was completely random, what happened. So I was just happened to be there.
So is the PTSD, is that derived from the incident itself?
Yeah, just from the trauma of it happening. And the main thing that I have dreams about is hearing myself screaming because it's just animalistic almost. It's an out-of-body experience, the whole thing. And then when you're in the burn ICU, when I first got admitted, it took them 5 hours to scrub all of the dead skin off of me.
Wow.
And so they're sitting there with tweezers and scrubs and everything for that amount of time. And then 2 to 3 times a day, you spend about an hour or two in the tub room, is what they call it. You're sitting up on basically a morgue table, and you're getting scrubbed with a mixture of hot water, bleach, hydrogen peroxide, and Dove soap.
Wow. So
imagine that on open wounds. It's just traumatizing, but
yeah,
it paid off at the end.
And how soon were you out of the hospital before you picked up a guitar?
Probably within a week. I believe there's a video somewhere of me completely fully bandaged up. I couldn't even get my hand around it, but I was sitting there holding it and strumming.
That's unbelievable. I can't imagine. I mean, the kind of heart you must have for music has to be out of this world.
Yeah, it's really what pulled me through, because there were several points where, I was completely alone, and I couldn't do anything for myself at all. And I'm a very independent person, so I was a very low place. And, there was one day where I hit the lowest, and I said that was it, and I was going to go kill myself. And I had a random text from one of my other musician friends to come to a campfire thing. We went, played some songs, and that pulled me right back out of it and kind of motivated me. He talked to me about his PTSD that he had from the Marines, and it kind of put my bootstraps back up, and I kept on trucking, and I wrote some
So I'm assuming you're probably one of those Southern women that, you tell them the word can't and they show you that, that word doesn't exist really quickly.
Absolutely. I'm extremely stubborn.
I just got that feeling about you just from reading about you and things like that. The word that stuck out to me at the beginning that I got from your page was the word outlaw. That word doesn't really fit with the other four, so, tell me what that means to you, the word outlaw.
It's the music genre of country outlaw. It really fits with me and my inner soul, I guess. I've always had more of a wandering soul, and then also I've always been the one to kind of not find real bad trouble, but I'm always the one that's kind of stirring things up, and I just always try to hang out with the bikers, and I hang out with kind of shadier people sometimes, but we're all good people and have fun. But I don't know. It's kind of my producer when I was recording this CD. He was like, "You're kind of the first outlaw chick that I've ever heard," and he was like, "You should think about doing outlaw country stuff." And I was like, "Outlaw? Yeah, I could see that."
Yeah, it makes sense for sure. So you mentioned earlier, I'll get back to the point where you don't sleep. I don't either, and I know, I'll be sitting around here late at night working on promotion or whatever I happen to be involved in at the time, and I'll be pushing something on Facebook, and I'll go over on Twitter, and there's Francie tweeting away over there on Twitter. So what sort of role do you think that social media has in helping you as a musician?
I think it has a huge role. Social media is such a big part of everybody's lives these days, and it's really the best way that you can get the word out about different things, and whether it's introducing people to your personality or pushing your latest song or what have you. It's such a great tool, and I'm always surprised that more musicians don't use it as much, honestly.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I don't know if you've heard about us with the East Texas Music Awards, but we're smack dab in the middle of awards season right now. Fans are voting at etxmusic.com. And, we have 36 different categories every year with 5 finalists in each. That comes out to be 180 finalists every year. And I'll tell you, every year when we're, trying to contact these finalists, I'd say a good third to a half of them don't even know about the awards because maybe they don't have a Facebook, or maybe they do and they don't know how to use it correctly, or, whatever it may be. There's got to be somebody out there that can give some of these musicians social media training, because it is so important, I think, to for a musician or a band or whoever to connect not only personally with their fans, but to also be able to book and do everything else they need to do right there on social media.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's go back to a little bit maybe younger in your life. Who were some of your favorite musicians growing up?
Growing up is probably, when I was really little, is, the good old boys, Willie, Waylon, Merle, and that's who my grandpa listened to, and I spent a lot of time at his house growing up, and then once I got a little bit older, I was into the rock alternative really hard for most of my high school, middle school, all that.
I'm gonna
that's where I get a lot of my rock edge from.
I'm gonna assume that was the 90s, right?
Yeah, 90s rock alternative. I had Nirvana and all that.
Yeah, Matchbox 20, Google Dolls.
My drummer actually used to be in a rock band, and he always tells me all the time that several of my songs remind him of the Cranberries.
Oh man, I love the Cranberries.
That's what I was listening to.
Yeah, Cranberries were great.
Influences from all over.
Their song Linger was my favorite song by them.
Yeah.
So who would you say are some of your favorites today, especially locally? Do you have any favorite local musicians?
Yeah, locally, my favorites are probably like statewide. I guess I could say it's like William Clark Green, Sam Riggs, Scooter Brown Band, different. You know, there's so many cookie cutter music artists, and so many people are scared to do things a little bit different. I'm not going to name names actually, but I have
Right.
a musician friend that he sings wonderfully, but does popular country in public. But I've heard him sing something that's more of his own style at my house, and he refuses to sing it in public because he's worried people won't like it. It's like, why? Do your own thing.
Yeah, uniqueness is very important, especially nowadays where everything's been done probably 4 times over. You know, so it's definitely refreshing for me, especially on the local level when, you know, we might be out and about and we might run into something that we've never seen or heard before, and usually we're very attached to that right away.
Yeah.
And I mean, that goes genre-wide too, you know, it's not just country, it's everything.
Yeah, it's like people that listen to my CD, I've had several people comment after they hear, especially Cigarettes and Whiskey and I Won't Be Bothered, because I like scream a little bit in it, I get real loud and my voice kind of breaks, you know, so people call it like country screaming or whatever for like a word. And they're like, I've never heard a girl do that. And I'm like, I do.
Well, that's your uniqueness, that's what makes you different,
Yeah.
you know. So what would you say you love the most about being a musician and a singer?
Traveling. I love going everywhere. I'm not afraid to leave Houston, and I started out playing about half and half shows in town, half shows out of town. Now I don't think I've played a local show in like 3 months. I really need to play one soon. But I love going everywhere and anywhere and seeing all the in-betweens. Like, I hate flying because I feel like you skip all the good stuff.
Yes.
If anybody follows me on Facebook, you'll see, like, I'm constantly posting, like, when I was in Abilene on Sunday, I went to a museum on Monday on my way back, just because that was the biggest thing and coolest thing you could go see in Abilene. And, you know, I try to do something special in each different town or on the way, whether it's going and hiking Paladero Canyon or, you know, like going to see a hologram museum about cowboys and Indians and stuff.
So you're just kind of making memories along the way.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I love seeing all the different people and all the cultures and different towns. I love everything. I love seeing everything.
So I know that the industry has changed a lot, you know, from years past and things. What's a couple of things, or maybe there's nothing that you would change, but if you could change something about the music industry, what would it be?
I think if anything, just people to get over the clickiness. There's so many clicks.
Yeah.
It's hard to get in some of them, and yeah, that's kind of why I chose I Won't Be Bothered as my radio single. It's just because it's kind of stepping out of the box and, you know, telling everybody I'm not going to be bothered, you know, by what you say to me, and it's kind of talking to all those mean girls and all that kind of stuff, and the bullying that goes on, and especially in the country industry, everybody can be really nice up front and say yes ma'am and, you know, bless your heart, but behind closed doors there's a lot of bullying and stuff that goes on.
Well, what would you say the percentage of the song I Won't Be Bothered, how much of that was kind of you showing off your thick skin because of your struggles with the burns and all that?
All of it. All of it has been said to me or someone close to me at one point in time.
So it's just people saying, you know, you can't do that. It's not possible. And now it's kind of your mission to show them, guess what? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically saying, you know, kind of a screw you kind of thing.
Right.
It's not going to bug me that you're sitting here talking crap.
And I know the last I looked, I believe the single debuted on the charts at number 95, right?
Yes.
And I think it's only been on there, 1 or 2 weeks now, right?
Yeah, I think this is the second week, if I remember right.
And it's your first time on the charts, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That is a huge deal. I know the guys over there at Texas Regional Radio Report, they're doing awesome things for Texas country, and it's always nice to see a new name on the charts. And I know you and I got hooked up a little bit on Twitter. I don't know if you saw one of my tweets or I saw one of yours, but we started following each other, and then I heard about your story, and I was like, man, this would make a great episode. So we made that happen. So we're coming up. I want to talk a little bit about your album. I know that's really important to you. It's called Cigarettes and Whiskey, and tell us when it came out, where people can get it, and tell us a little bit about the album and the songs within it.
Well, it came out on June 25th, which is my 2-year anniversary. I figured it was fitting because it kind of brought things full circle.
Absolutely.
And it's got a real good mix. I used Roger Krieger's band and a local guy who's a phenomenal guitarist. Chad Ware was on the album as well. And it's got like a great mix of like every song I wrote, and every song was written from whether it was a friend coming and telling me about a bad situation, like slipping away with a friend that told me she was upset because she went to a bar and saw her boyfriend with a new girl, and she was losing her mind. And so the chorus of that one is, is it you or my mind that's slipping away?
Right.
So, my friends don't tell me their problems much anymore, but
because they'll end up in a song, right?
In a song.
Yeah. That's funny.
I Won't Be Bothered faces bullying. Cigarettes and Whiskey is about kind of loving someone that you can't really have, or loving someone that's bad for you, I guess is a better description of it. Kind of like cigarettes and whiskey. You know you shouldn't smoke. You know you shouldn't have that other shot, but you're probably going to.
Right.
And, I have a song on there that's kind of one of my darker, slower songs. I wrote it when I was during one of my lower points after getting burned, and I found out a friend had passed away. And it's called For You, and it's kind of describing he flipped his truck, and it took them several hours to find him while his girlfriend was wandering around in the roadway screaming his name. And so it's kind of talking about him dying and the feeling of that girl looking for her, loved one, while he's, she knows he's dying. And it's pretty dark, but it turned out beautifully. And, there's a really good mix of songs on there. There's only 8, but I wanted to put out the best that I could.
Absolutely. You mentioned you having a dark song. Some of the darkest songs in history turned into the best country music songs of all time. Two that come to my mind would be, He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones. A song that almost didn't get recorded because George himself did not like the song. He thought it was too dark, too morbid, and somebody pushed him to do it. And that's legitimately usually one of the top 3 songs in country music's history. And another one was, of course, Farewell Party by Gene Watson. We just did an episode with Gene Watson on ETX Rocks, and he talked about, how much he believed in that song, even though everybody around him was telling him that it would fail because of its message and its darkness and all of that. And he said, you know what, I'm going to record it anyway. And he was telling us that he went into the studio and they recorded that song, Farewell Party, in 1 take.
Wow.
So what you hear on that recording for Farewell Party was done on the first take.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, wow, man, these stories. That's why we have this podcast, for those kinds of stories. So I applaud you for sticking and believing in a song of yours, even though you yourself admit that it's a dark message. So.
Yeah, I almost didn't record it as well, and it was just, I wanted to put it on there as kind of a subtle dedication and memory to him.
people like a message, though. People like a message regardless of what the emotion is behind it. I mean, if a song makes you feel something, then people, grasp onto it.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you have for some young aspiring artists out there that might be listening?
Put in the work. So many people don't put in the work, and it's worth every second. I've been coaching several different underlings, I guess, like new artists locally, and giving them advice. And the biggest thing that people don't understand is how much work goes in behind the scenes. It's not all just showing up at the bar looking pretty and playing some songs. You're putting in 8 hours a day at home too.
Yeah, it's building the brand as well as entertaining.
Yes, you've got the brand. It's a business. It's really a business, and you can't forget that. But you still gotta have fun at the same time, and finding that balance is hard for a lot of people. So, I mean, never give up and put in the work, and it'll all pay off.
Okay, one thing I did want to clarify, going back to the album, where can people find your album? Where can they purchase it and things like that?
Oh, yeah, it is on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all of that. And if you don't want to worry about trying to spell my name or anything, the easiest way to find all of my stuff is www.fkbtexas.com, because my name's kind of complicated, so I made it easy.
Well, we will spell out your name here in a short moment when we start promoting all your social media stuff.
Awesome.
But where do you hope to see your music career take you next? What's the ultimate goal for Francie Krienitz?
I don't really know. I'm leaving it open-ended. I mean, I already know I'm not gonna quit ever. I'm gonna be, your Willie Nelson that's still sitting there diddling around on the guitar at 80-something years old, and but I don't have any plans on going to Nashville or any of that. I have a song on the album that says I Dream of Texas, and that's hitting the nail on the head. Like, I'm good staying here. I go up to Colorado. I want to travel everywhere that I can, but I don't have any real plans of, going and being a major recording artist or selling myself out or anything. I'd rather be me, do me, just keep doing my own thing, and
if that happens to take.
Goals are getting a band together, and we're starting to play some shows and just stay on the road. Maybe eventually quit my day job.
All right. Well, I sure do hope we get to see you in Northeast Texas sometime shortly.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So tell us. I'm going to spell your name out for you, so you don't have to when you're telling people where to find you. Her name is Francie. That's Francie Krienitz, and that's Krienitz. So tell people where they can find you, Francie, as far as social media.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all of that. I'm one of the very few Francies, so I'm pretty easy to find.
That is very true. And she's very, very active and on all of those sites, as far as I could tell. She's very personable with her fans, and if you want to see her journey on her travels and the memories that she's making on the road, then I strongly implore you to follow her or like her, or whatever the button might be for that vehicle. Francie, is there anything else you'd like to say to people that might be listening, whether they're fans, maybe new fans, or whatever?
Not much. Just thank you so much for listening and having me on here, and hope to see y'all out at the show soon.
And we're real happy to have you on here once again, Francie. Thank you for your time. This won't come out, I guess, till the end of August, but we will definitely be in touch again to let you know when it's coming out and things like that. But again, we're real happy that you called in today. And I want to remind people that this episode of ETX Rocks was brought to you by XLN on 5th in Tyler, Texas. We want to thank XLN on 5th for supporting local music. Remember, everybody out there, support your local music, and ETX rocks.
We are ETX Rocks!